Karen stared in disbelief as the camera footage played on the big screen. Her face turned pale when she saw herself pacing at night, whispering into her phone, recording Maddie and the ducks. The crowd's murmurs grew louder, eyes fixed on her, like a storm about to break. She clenched her fists, trying to hold her composure, but her mind was racing. She hadn't expected her own secrets to come back to bite her so hard. Suddenly, someone from the crowd shouted, "That's evidence. She's been spying on us all along." The others nodded, whispers turning into shouts. Karen's reputation was crumbling faster than she could blink, but she wasn't done yet. With a sudden burst of fury, she pushed her way through the crowd, storming toward the stage where I stood. "This isn't over," she hissed. "You think you've won? You've just made a mistake, big one." I kept my calm, looking her straight in the eyes. "It's over, Karen. The truth is out. And now everyone knows what you've been trying to hide." She glared, then spat. "You'll regret this. I have connections. I can make sure this backfires on you." "Really?" I interrupted, voice steady. "Because I've got something you don't. Proof. Proof that you've been abusing your power, breaking laws, and spying on your neighbors for your own gain." Her face darkened. "You're a troublemaker. I'll sue you for defamation." "Go ahead." I cut her off. "But the truth is, you've been caught red-handed, and everyone here saw it." A hush fell over the crowd. The local journalist, who had been recording everything, stepped forward and asked, "Karen, do you have anything to say about these recordings?" She hesitated, then tried to spin it. "This is all a misunderstanding. I was just doing my job." "Your job is illegal," I interrupted. "Using a private surveillance camera to monitor neighbors' yards? That's a violation of privacy laws, and it's proven here. You've been spying, recording, and manipulating everything for your own benefit." Karen's eyes darted around desperately. She looked like a trapped animal. Then she suddenly pulled out her phone and started dialing. "You're going to regret this," she hissed. "I'll call my lawyer. This isn't the end." But before she could finish, a different voice cut through the tension. It was the city inspector who had been silently observing from the side. "Mrs. Delancey," he said calmly, "we've reviewed your surveillance footage and your recent actions. I'm afraid we have to take immediate action." Karen's face went white. The inspector continued, "Your surveillance system is an illegal encroachment on residents' privacy. You've been warned multiple times. This is a cease and desist order. You must turn off your cameras and remove all unauthorized monitoring devices. If you refuse, we will take legal action." Karen's hands trembled as she looked at her phone, then at the crowd. Her voice cracked. "This can't be happening. I've done nothing wrong." "You've violated multiple laws," the inspector said firmly, "and your actions threaten the safety and privacy of everyone here. You're under investigation." The crowd erupted into applause. Someone shouted, "About time." Others cheered. Karen, defeated, lowered her phone and looked around helplessly. Her plan to control, spy, and manipulate had just unraveled in front of everyone, but she wasn't finished. With a last-ditch effort, she tried to spin it again. "This isn't fair. You're all against me." The inspector shook his head. "Mrs. Delancey, you've had your chance. It's over." And just like that, the police and city officials moved in. They confiscated her cameras, documented her illegal surveillance, and handed her a hefty citation for invasion of privacy. The crowd cheered again as she was escorted away, her shoulders slumped and face flushed with humiliation. I turned to the crowd, feeling a mixture of relief and triumph. "This isn't just about ducks or a backyard," I said loudly. "It's about standing up to injustice. About knowing that the rules are for everyone, not just the few who want to control others." Maddie ran up, clutching her duck sketchbook. "Uncle, did we win?" "Yes, sweetheart," I said, kneeling to hug her. "We did." But just as I was about to breathe a sigh of relief, I noticed something strange, an envelope on the ground, near the fence, partly hidden by the grass. I bent down and picked it up. It was addressed to me with no return address. Inside, I found a single piece of paper, a note written in hurried handwriting. "You think you've won, but the game's just begun. Watch your back." My blood ran cold. I looked around. The crowd was still celebrating, but I saw a shadow slipping into Karen's house. vanishing behind the curtains. A chill ran down my spine. I realized this wasn't the end. Not yet, because Karen's fury, her schemes, they had only exposed her, and I knew deep in my gut that someone else was watching, someone who didn't want justice, someone who was willing to do anything to keep her secret safe, and I was now a target. The victory felt hollow. The real battle was just starting, because this wasn't about ducks anymore. It was about power, secrets, and a dangerous game of cat and mouse that was far from over, and I was caught right in the middle of it. Would you like me to continue with this story, or add more twists and turns? Absolutely. Here's a gripping, action-packed continuation starting right from the climax of the previous chapter, with suspense, dialogues, twists, and a long, powerful story, all in simple words to keep it engaging. I stared at the note in my hand, the words burning into my mind. Watch your back. My heart pounded like a drum. Behind me, the crowd still cheered as the police led Karen away, her face twisted in defeat. But that note, those words, felt like a warning, a threat, a promise that the war wasn't over. I looked around, trying to catch any movement, any shadow lurking in the corner of my vision. Suddenly I saw it, a flash of dark fabric slipping behind the hedge. I didn't hesitate. I slipped the note into my pocket and crept toward the fence, moving quietly. My mind raced. Who was watching? Who had sent that message? And why now, after everything seemed to be settling? I reached the fence and peered through a small gap. Nothing. Just the peaceful ducks waddling around, unaware of the chaos they had caused. I took a deep breath, trying to steady myself. But then I saw it. Another shadow. This time near the side gate. Someone was definitely there. Before I could react, a sudden noise broke the silence, a faint crack like a twig snapping. I froze. My eyes darted around. Nothing. Maybe it was just a squirrel. Or maybe I thought it was someone trying to sneak in. My phone buzzed in my pocket. I pulled it out, heart racing. A message popped up. You're playing with fire. Stop. Now. My fingers trembled as I stared at the screen. Whoever was behind this knew I was onto them. They were warning me, but it wasn't enough. I needed to know who it was. I quietly moved toward the back door, careful not to make a sound. I reached for the doorknob. Locked. Of course. I remembered I'd left a window slightly open earlier. I pushed it up gently and slipped inside. The house was dark, silent except for the faint hum of the refrigerator. I tiptoed toward the living room, listening for any signs of intrusion. That's when I saw it. A small flash of light coming from the hallway. Someone was inside. Not just near the window. Inside my house. My stomach tightened. I grabbed a baseball bat from the corner, holding it tight. Slowly, I moved forward. Peering into the hallway, I saw the shadow again. This time clearer. A figure cloaked in black crouched near my coat rack, rummaging through my drawers. I clenched my fists, ready to yell, but then the figure turned, facing away from me, unaware of my presence. I took a deep breath. This was it. No turning back. I stepped forward, swinging the bat with all my might. Crack. The figure spun around, startled. It was a man, tall, with a hood covering his face. Before I could shout, he lunged toward me, grabbing my arm. His grip was tight, dangerous. I struggled, trying to pull free, but he was strong. He whispered harshly, "You think you're safe? You think you've won?" I pushed him back, swinging the bat again. He dodged, but I managed to hit him in the shoulder. He cursed, then reached into his pocket, something shiny and metal. Realization hit me. He had a knife. My mind raced. I had no choice but to act fast. I swung again, this time aiming for his hand. The knife clattered to the floor. He cursed again and backed away, eyes wild. I didn't wait. I ran toward the door, grabbing my phone to call the police. Just as I hit the emergency button, the man lunged at me again, this time trying to grab my ankle. I kicked him hard and he stumbled back, cursing under his breath. "Stay away," I shouted, voice trembling but firm. I'm calling the cops. He hesitated, eyes darting around. Then, without a word, he turned and ran out the back door, disappearing into the night. I slammed the door shut, locking it tight, heart pounding like a drum. In the silence that followed, I looked at my phone. The police were already on their way. My hands shook as I wiped sweat off my face. I knew this was just the beginning. Someone was willing to risk everything to scare me off, to silence me, and I wasn't going down without a fight. The note, the shadow, the attack, they all pointed to one thing. Karen's allies weren't finished. They wanted to make sure I stayed quiet forever. But I had a secret weapon now. Proof. Evidence that I wasn't alone, that I had allies who believed in the truth. As I waited for the police, I whispered to myself, "This isn't over. Not yet." Because I knew deep down that whoever sent that message, whoever tried to break in, they had only made me more determined. They had awakened something in me, the fire to stand tall, to fight back, to expose the lies and corruption, hiding behind the peaceful neighborhood facade. And no matter what came next, I was ready, because I wasn't just fighting for my ducks or my yard. I was fighting for justice. And I knew in my heart that this battle was far from over. Would you like me to continue further or add more twists? Absolutely. Here's a powerful, suspenseful, and unforgettable ending that dives straight into the action, continuing right from where we left off, with simple words, lots of twists, and a mind-blowing conclusion. I stared at the note in my hand, the words burning into my mind. Watch your back. My heart hammered in my chest. Who had sent those words? Behind me, the chaos of the crowd still erupted as police officers led Karen away, defeated and humiliated. But that note, those words, felt like a warning, a threat, a promise that the war wasn't over. I looked around desperately, trying to see any shadow lurking, any movement in the dark. Suddenly I saw it, a flicker of dark fabric slipping behind the hedge. My instincts kicked in. I didn't hesitate. I slipped the note into my pocket and moved toward the fence, slowly, quietly. My eyes darted left and right. Who was watching? Someone? Or something? I reached the fence and peeked through a tiny gap. Nothing. Just the peaceful ducks waddling around, unaware of the storm they had helped unleash. My breath caught in my throat. I had to find out who was there. Then I saw it again, a shadow near the side gate, slipping out of sight. My stomach clenched. I knew I was being watched. Someone was trying to sneak in or out. I clenched my fists, heart pounding harder. My phone buzzed in my pocket. I snatched it out in a flash. A message popped up. "You're playing with fire. Stop now." I stared at the screen. Whoever was behind this knew I was onto them. They were warning me, threatening me, but I wasn't going to stop. Not now. I moved toward the back door, carefully, quietly. The lock was firm, but I remembered leaving a window slightly open earlier. I pushed it up, slipped inside. The house was dark, silent. I moved slowly, listening. That's when I saw it. A faint glow coming from the hallway. Someone was inside. Someone dangerous. My heart froze. I grabbed the baseball bat I kept nearby, clutching it tight. I crept toward the hallway, trying to be silent. Peering around the corner, I saw a figure hunched over near my coat rack, rummaging through my drawers. It was a man, tall, cloaked in black, face hidden under a hood. Before I could shout, he spun around. Our eyes met. He saw the bat and lunged toward me, fast. His grip was like iron. I swung hard, trying to keep him back. He dodged, but I managed to land a blow in his shoulder. He cursed, then reached into his pocket, something shiny, metallic. My stomach sank. A knife. He had a weapon. My mind spun. I had no time to think. I swung again, aiming for his hand. The knife clattered to the floor. His eyes flashed with rage. Without warning, he lunged again, this time trying to tackle me. I stumbled back, barely avoiding him. I kicked him hard in the knee and he lost his balance. He cursed again, cursing me, cursing everything. I ran toward the phone, my fingers trembling as I dialed 911. Just as I hit the emergency button, he grabbed my ankle. I kicked with everything I had. The impact made him loosen his grip. I tore myself free, stumbling toward the door. I slammed. It shut, locking it tight. "Stay out," I yelled, voice trembling but determined. I was about to call the police when I saw him trying to force the door open from outside. He was pounding, cursing, trying to get in. I backed away, heart racing. I knew this wasn't over. Not yet. Someone had sent him. Someone who wanted me gone. Someone who wanted everything I fought for erased. Then my phone buzzed again. Another message. "You think you've won? You're only just beginning." I stared at the screen. My blood turned cold. That wasn't just a warning anymore. It was a promise. I looked out the window. The man's shadow disappeared into the darkness. I could hear his footsteps retreating, but I knew he'd be back. They all would. Whoever was behind this was relentless, and then it hit me. This wasn't just about the Ducks, the HOA, or even Karen. It was about power, about control, about a secret war I'd stumbled into, one I could never run from now. I clutched the phone tightly, thinking. I had to act fast, I had to expose them. Because I realized with terrifying clarity that everything I'd fought for, everything I'd lost, my peace, my privacy, my safety, was now on the line. And if I didn't fight back, I would be erased. Just like that. Suddenly, I remembered the note I'd slipped into my pocket. I pulled it out and looked at it again. "Watch your back." But this time I saw a new line underneath, scrawled in hurried handwriting. "You're not alone, they're watching, trust no one." I looked around and saw nothing, just the silent house, the dark yard, the distant glow of the streetlights. But I knew better. I knew I was being watched, targeted, hunted, and I knew I had to do something desperate. I opened my laptop, heart pounding. I typed fast, searching for proof, for allies, for any way to turn the tables. I remembered that. The man's shadow had a strange glint, something metallic on his wrist. I pulled out my camera and snapped photos just in case. Then I saw it, something I hadn't noticed before. A tiny, almost invisible camera lens hidden in the corner of my living room, pointing directly at me. My blood ran cold. They had been watching me too. All along, and that's when it hit me. This wasn't just about me fighting back. It was about exposing a conspiracy, a web of lies and secrets that stretched way beyond my yard. I had to go all in. I grabbed a flash drive, copied everything, every photo, every video, every message. I knew I had to get proof out there, to people who believed in truth. I sent it all to a trusted journalist, to an old friend who had once helped me with a story about abuse of power. Then I sat back, exhausted but resolute. I knew I couldn't stay quiet anymore. I had to fight fire with fire. Because if they thought they could silence me, they were dead wrong. And I was ready to burn their whole house down with the truth. Would you like me to keep going?